Right, so somebody messaged me the other day and they said, Simon, your 2 + 2 = potato shirt doesn't make any sense. I face palmed. I was like, that's the whole point of the shirt. Because if you sat down in maths class and you did 2 + 2 and you said it equal potato, they would send you into outer space. And talking about things that also surprised us, on this week's or last week's episode of AEW Collision, FTR lost the flubbing tag team titles. What? So we sent the internet into meltdown, but here is the deal, and while we always just need to give it a minute, it turns out that Cash Wheeler is injured, and therefore him and Dax Harwood decided, well, rather than just relinquish these things, why don't we have a couple of people whip our ass? That's why they're one of the best ever. They get it. Also, when you did see their opening promo at the start of the show, they were a bit like, man, we're such sad pandas right now. And you would be sad pandas. It's like when I lost our hair, my hair, cried for days. Also, hello my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs for Collision, the show where we watch wrestling and I say, well, it was pretty good, or I say that was pretty bad, and you call me a positive Pete, which is totally fine by me. This weekend especially, there was so many negative Nancy's on the internet. Wrestling is there to entertain us, so let's just all chill out. Especially because the world is crazy right now, let's up those downs. This tag match is how Collision began as well, yeah. Our destruction. But it can't have gone all that long, and our challengers, Big Bill and Ricky Starks, just went at FTR. They basically whooped them for a while, when the biggest of bills grabbed Cash Wheeler, and he threw him through Alan the announce table. And we had the doctors out there. I don't think he's in a good way. Large William then booted Dax when he was going to go for the sharpshooter, and he gave him one choke slam. He gave him another choke slam, and he kept on choke slamming him until the words made no sense. When Ricky tagged in, they did that spear combo thing, and the ref went 1, 2, 3. This is what I did. I just stopped in perpetual motion because I could not believe it. So this really was like watching a freight train blast through some cheese. Don't know what that means. But let's take the good out of it. I don't want anyone to be injured, and I hope FTR do come back soon, and all the love to those guys. But this is exactly what Ricky Starks and Big Bill needed right now. And I kind of think in a major American promotion, it's the first time Billy Boy has held a championship, and that Mother Hubbard deserves it. As does Ricky Starks, and I hope we use this to push him to the moon because he's so flipping good. This is me looking at Ricky Starks on the moon, even though of course it's just my ceiling. But the point is this, again, it was a bad situation, great way to pivot up. This is when we got reminded that on Wednesday's Dynamite, wait no, it's Tuesday next week, and we all know about that war, we're going to get Powerhouse Hobbs versus Chris Jericho, which is a very intriguing match. When here came a dragon, it was Bryan Danielson. His ridiculous retirement run continues because he was taking on Carl Fletcher here. This kind of ties into what we were just talking about. So I do believe that Mark Davis has broken his wrist, so we send all the love to that guy too. But Carl has gone, yeah. Well, you know, I am a pretty good wrestler, regardless what scenario you put me in. Watch me fly. I also do want to shout him out because when I started wrestling, he was so damn kind to me. So yeah, just want to put a couple of thumbs up for that. When he got into it with Danielson, it was a damn thing of beauty. I mean, Bryan could actually get a good match out of a llama these days. And once again, Fletcher, well, I was going to say has all the potential in the world, but it's more than potential. He's doing it right now. Danielson also locked in this crazy surfboard submission when he just started thumping Carl right in the head. And that must have pissed him off, because all of a sudden he came back with this crazy dive. And I'm sorry, he must have been reading the Darby Allin book on wrestling, because he just went careening into Barry Barricade. I was like, well, I could have done without that. Baz is already dead. Danielson then went to his kicks, so Fletcher just leveled him with a brain buster, which scared the shit out of me. When we got to the chops, which means you get this noise, it's pretty satisfying. There was then this great moment where Bryan launched himself over Carl Fletcher and turned around and got super kicked right in the face. When he decided, oh yeah, well, I'm just gonna go after your knee. So we did. We then got this death German suplex, was passiert, when Fletcher just smashed him in the back of the head. Now, I was getting a little bit oogly-woogly during this, because I was scared, but I was also very much invested. Carl then busted out a Falcon Arrow for a 1-2-ooh, because of course that move never gets to 3, unless you're in a last man standing match. When he too started with the nasty submissions, I mean, he was trying to strangle Bryan. Wanted to kill him. That was doubly true when he started to punch him in the skull when he went back to the Dragon Sleeper. But this is when Bryan Danielson was like, ha, I'm going to put you in the European clutch, which is basically the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and he got the 1-2-3. Now, don't forget this ties in, because who does that maneuver all of the time? Repo Man. it's not. It's Zack Sabre Jr. Given we had all those promos after Wrestle Dream 2, I think we may be going back to this way sooner than I expected. I'm totally fine with that. And I was totally fine with this match. Again, you should probably go and see it. It all tied into next week's Dynamite too, because the Gates of Agony were then here. I suppose because somebody hadn't oiled their hinges. They started to whip Danielson's ass as Swerve Strickland was like, ha 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 ha, I'm such a villain, when out came the Blackpool Combat Club to make the save. So there's your new feud. I also cannot wait for Bryan versus Swerve either, because both of them should win. Entirely sure that's something we can do in wrestling. We then had a quick interview with our brand new tag team champions. They were like, 1, we just beat the self-proclaimed best team in the world, and 2, isn't it nice that stars now have some championships? Ricky also said that there was going to be no rematch clause, and that made me laugh. I was like, well, if you have this kind of booking power, why don't you just say no title defenses ever? Still, again, I do think we've done very well here, especially if we do go to these two versus the Young Bucks. Hook it to my veins. When we got one of those out of nowhere matches. Because it was the Bullet Club taking on the random team of Metalik and Helico and Gravy. He's back. He's tired of keeping us all on the floor. And there is some irony to this, because of course he just flies around the place like the ground is lava. And that was the same for his teammates. They were just ping-ponging and doing flippy-dippy-doo-dah stuff, when the Bullet Club were just like, nah, brah. They just whooped their ass. The best part of all of it is that Jay White had come out with his buddies as well, and he now has the AEW World Championship, and he's just pretending that he's the champion. Now look, I know we've done this many times before in wrestling. I always love it. Gravy also did his spacewalk in order to tag in Metalik, so I love him massively. When the Guns were in here, and they did some punching, and Juice Robinson was doing this as well. Some of these strikes, I was like, man, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, Toto. Gravity was then trying to hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, but that's very difficult for him because he naturally floats upwards. When Angelico was here, and he basically had double submissions on the Guns. This is when Juice was back though. He just rocked him so hard with a punch. I laughed again. Bad person. Metalik then chose agility, but there was just too many people coming after him, so he got smacked with the 310 to Yuba. And then during that, Juice Robinson had tagged himself in so he could hit the DDT. 1, 2, 3, nice and easy. And that all rhymed. White grabbed the mic after this too and was all like, yeah, that's right, I am the brand new AEW World Champion. And also, where the flub is MJF? I thought he'd be here. He believes that Max must be tending to Adam Cole's injury, so that was a shot where he turned his attentions to next week Dynamite. And he was like, right, I do have a match against Hangman Adam Page. Maybe I should put the title on the line. Actually, no, because Cowboy, you've never defeated me. It's true. He then finished by telling Friedman he better be watching closely to see how a real champion acts. And this whole Bullet Club Gold act has just, well, it's just all clicked. I like it, it works. And if we did pull the trigger, and we did make Jay White the champion, I would have no problems with it, because as he has proven before, he knows exactly what he's doing. When Nick Wayne explained his actions. Thank goodness. I really liked it because it does tie into the many questions we did have. And he was like, listen, me and Darby Allin have been friends since we were young, but as soon as I turned 11 years old, he just vanished and he turned his back on me. He then tied this into the fact that everybody always references Edge and Christian, because there was a time when everybody would mention Nick Wayne and Darby Allin, and he doesn't want to live in his shadow anymore. So the decision he took was to try and kill him. Christian has definitely got in his ear. He also admitted that Cage has now become somewhat of a father figure, so that made me crack up. But yeah, this all made sense, it all tied in. Basically his brain has been corrupted by Christian, because he wants to be his own star, and screw you, Darby Allin. I'm intrigued to see how this works out, because I don't think Wayne has ever been a heel before, but throw him in the deep end and let him swim, I think he'll do a very good job. I mean, it certainly has given him some edge. Sorry. When we had a party match. It's fine by me. 3 was the Acclaimed defending their trios titles against the Iron Savages and Jack Jameson. I just love these 3 so much because they are massive, but they're also happy to be silly billies. That's my favorite combination. They achieved this instantly too, because as Jameson was walking to the ring, he was shouting in the microphone when he went, "We be dreaming and we be creaming." I've been thinking about that for days. I don't know what it means. Now, that didn't really happen because they were mostly smashed here. I mean, they got a bit of offense in, but the whole point was just to give the Acclaimed a win. So Daddy Ass got the hot tag. He kicked everybody's ass. We got the arrival. We got the mic drop. 1, 2, 3. I mean, it did what it had to do. So as I have said before, we really do need to come up with a proper feud for the Acclaimed and these trios titles. We don't want them to lose their way. And I think over the last few weeks, the Iron Savages and Jameson have proved they have something to them, and we can give them a little bit of a push. So I shall keep everything crossed, and I just enjoyed this. It was nice. And I like nice. Up. Then had a quick video reminding us that we are going to get Shane Taylor versus Keith Lee in a big man slapping man meat match, and we got a little bit about their history. And let's just try and get this done very soon. Too many programs recently have gone by the wayside, and then we've missed the point. So even if we do it too early, well, I would say that would be preferred. When it was goofy wrestling for life after this, makes me so happy. For Timeless, Toni Storm was back, and she is just the best. Because she was taking on Kiera Hogan, and after her excellent entrance, she gave her the script. And you can actually see this on social media right now. And I get that it's not for everyone, but it is totally for me. I mean, I just think the whole character is so well thought out, and of course Kiera got the script, screwed it up, and threw it right in her face when she hit the hip attack. I was like, man, Toni Storm ain't gonna like that. That's her move. Toni was able to get control when she did the whole "we'll be right back after our sponsors" bit, and she has to keep doing this because it does make me chuckle. When we came back, and yeah, Storm bit Hogan's ass. You can imagine how the internet has reacted to this. I think we should just leave it there and definitely move on to something else. I think he confused Hogan more than anything because she then did get hit with the hip attack as Storm hit the Storm Zero for the 1, 2, 3. And I don't know where we're going with Timeless, but maybe she could be the champion. But even if she doesn't win the title, I don't actually think it matters. Although we could do an amazing feud with her and Chris Statlander. And I've just come up with that now. That's what we should do. Ruby Soho was then being interviewed by Renee Paquette. And I was like, where the flub have you been? For some reason though, it has taken her weeks to decide. Well, when she beat me, I think she cheated, which is why she is going to be in the corner of Saraya come Tuesday as she retains her women's championship. This was kind of funny too, because Paquette was like, actually, I've just been informed that you're banned from ringside. So Soho was like, yeah, well, you know, I still think Saraya is going to win. I've watched this space. I think something's going to happen. When Eddie Kingston's big weekend continued, because he was defending his brand new Ring of Honor World title. And this was after a #1 contender match on Rampage when Eddie was also doing commentary. And because Kommander with a K had won that, they had a match. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. But the only problem with it is that nobody in their right mind thought the Kommander was going to win, because that would have been the silliest thing anybody has done since, I don't know, Reggie did a big flip off a truck just to say hello to someone. Do you remember that on Raw? I think about it every day. Of course, Komander is faster than Kingston, so he outran him like he was a 90s arcade video game, when Kingston just chose violence and he punched him right in the brain. He also hit the chops in a T-bone suplex that set Komander flying when he hit the Cobra Twist. I don't know about you, but it always sounds like a dance. What are we doing? He also hit a moonsault for a 1-2-ooh, and then he hit a 450 for a 1-2-ooh when we got into a headbutt battle. I was like, is a headbutt battle a thing? I mean, I can barely say it. Eddie then found his wind as he was able to smash out a Uranagi for his own near fall. When Kommander ran at him, he just killed him with the back elbow. I tell you why I like that move. If the other guy sells it like Kommander does here, you're like, oh man, I think he knocked him out. 1, 2, 3. So I really do hope we continue to build up Eddie Kingston, and maybe one day, in 2024, he becomes the AEW World Champion, because he's just so damn good. But for now, ROH, up. We then got all the news about next week's shows, and of course it is Dynamite versus NXT on Tuesday, to the point we're bringing back NXT, and we're going to do one big episode, mostly so I can remind everyone that wrestling is great right now, and we should be enjoying it. And we got to our main event segment, and out came Adam Copeland. So this was basically like Raw, although I don't care what anybody says. He comes across like such a big deal. I think he's going to do a world of good for AEW. Plus, he's a very lovely chap because he saw Jim Ross on commentary and he was like, thanks for signing me, Jim. And I was like, what a good lad. He also admitted that his plan on Dynamite didn't work at all because he came here to team with Christian Cage, and Christian told him to go flub himself. Now, this is of massive confusion to Mr. Copeland, because when he had to retire from wrestling, and when Cage had to retire from wrestling, all they did was chat about the fact that maybe one day they could team together again. And now they have the opportunity, and it's been flushed down the toilet. He also started to notice recently that Christian was keeping in touch with him less and less, so that hurt him on the tum-tum. And given that he had said his name, he was like, Christian, you better get out here. But Cage basically ignored the wrestling tropes, and he appeared on the big screen instead. That's not how it works. He essentially laughed at Copeland as well, which then made me laugh because he's a wonderful dickhead when he planted those seeds and he said, listen, I have no answers for you right now, but I will on Title Tuesday. Now I assume when you tell someone to go fuck themselves, you've given them an answer, but what do I know? When he sent out Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus to whip Adam's ass. Now of course, he fought back in the beginning here, and he gave this DDT to Wayne, who sold it wonderfully, although the commentators called it the Copacution or something, because it used to be the Educution. Do not do that. Just as he was going to go for the spear as well, the dinosaur ate him alive, because that's what he does do, and he gave him the choke slam. And just when they were going to smash him with a chair, here came Darby Allin. I was like, listen, Darbs, this is nice of you, but one, you're still like not balancing out the numbers game, and two, you have a broken arm. This came back to haunt him as well because they did whip him, and when he was down, they got the chair and they smashed it onto his limb. I think we're going to be seeing Darby Allin for a while. It did mean that Collision ended with the bad guys standing over the good guys, and I just want to see where this is going to go. Because I do believe it's going to result at Full Gear in Adam Copeland versus Christian, and I have wanted that match done properly for like 20 years. Because I am an old dude, and one day I'm going to die. I like this a lot. Which did bring us to the end of Collision, and look, I don't think it was the best show ever. It didn't light a fire under your ass. But if you were going to find some downs in that, I think you would be a little bit of a panicky Pete. And I'm a positive Pete, as we talked about. Shouldn't be Pete. We'll go with a panicky Paul. There you go. Damn you, Paul. Why have you done it? Point is up. Now, please do leave a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's AEW Collision or 2 nights ago. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video right here, which is ups and downs for Fastlane, and just, support the show. I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, have a terrific day, and I'll see you bright and early for Montag Night Raw.